Hey guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today in this video we're going to be continuing our JavaScript for Beginner series. So in this video we're going to be learning about more methods of JavaScript, and we're going to be learning about the more methods of array. So yeah, it's not about JavaScript, it's about arrays inside of JavaScript and how can we manipulate them using methods. So in the previous video I've taught you about some methods up to sort. Now today I'm going to be teaching you some loops as well. So the loops which are essentially used in arrays, and I'm going to be teaching you about high order array functions, and it is going to be really interesting, so please just continue watching it. So the first thing that we're going to do in the script.js, okay, I've created a new file called script.js because I don't want you to be confused about where did all the new things start from. So this is the part 5th of the video, and this is the part 6th of the video. So now first let me go ahead and create an array. Const array is equals to, I'll write bunch of name over here, so it's going to be Paul. Maybe I can go with something called Tom, and I can go with someone called Dwayne. I can go with Bruce, and I can go with Patrick. Okay, so now after we've created an array, now what are we gonna do? Now let's take an example that I want to print all of these individual elements of an array. So to print the individual elements of an array, we use something called loops. So in the previous videos I've actually told you, I guess, while we were learning loops. So while we were learning loops, we actually discussed about how we can use loops with arrays. So this is the recap of that. So to use that, we can simply go ahead and say array dot, okay, we cannot go over array, we have to go with a for loop. So for loop, and for let I is equals to 0, and I'm going to say I is less than array dot length. Now this is not going to be a, it's going to be I, and if unless this statement doesn't become false, I am going to increment this by 1. So I'll console.log the array, and I'm going to go ahead and print the index. I run the index.node index. Oh no, it's not index, it's script.js. Now you can see that Paul, Tom, Bruce, all that stuff has been printed. So now you might be saying that why do I need to go with a long process of printing each element of an array? Why can't I do it simply? So there's a thing called forEach, okay? Let's take an example that you don't want to use this. You want to use a simpler method. So we're going to go for something called forEach. So forEach. Now forEach is a method. So we're going to be calling it using arrays. And we say forEach. Now it's taking a callback function. Now this callback function is an argument that forEach takes. Now we are simply going to go ahead and say give it a parameter. So this parameter is essentially referring to each of the elements of an array. So I can go ahead and name it anything I would like. So I can go ahead and say state. So this is the state. And now what do I want? I want to console.log state. So before running this, I'll simply go ahead and explain you what does this mean. So array.forEach actually means that for each of the elements inside of an array, I'll call them state. So after I call them state, I want to go ahead and print out the state. So yep, that is it. If you understood it, you'll understand. If you haven't understood, you'll understand by this. So yep, you can see that Paul, Tom, Dwayne, Bruce, Patrick had been printed. So I'm going to go ahead and give my name over here as well. I don't care. So I'll go for Safi. And if I go ahead and say Safi over here, it doesn't matter. I can simply get this here. So instead of going with Safi, you can go with something professional. State. So now we've used forEach as well. So now we can use something called array.from. So what is array.from? So array.from. Array.from is a function that is used to convert some objects into, it's a collection object that is being converted into an array. So I'll give you an example over here. Let's take const str is equals to, I don't want to go with capital, I want to go with camel case. Str is equals to my name. So Now if I go ahead and do array dot from, and I'll go for the string, I'll pass in the string. What it is going to do is it's going to take off this indexes. It's going to take off all of this characters over here, and it's going to make an array of it. Okay, I'm not printing this out, so I'll simply go ahead and say console.log array.from string. Now if I run that, I'll see that this has been printed in the console. That is how easy it is. So there's another example to it. This is basically used while actually converting DOM collection from object to an array. So what am I talking about? What is DOM? What is the stuff that you're talking about? So don't be panicked. Don't panic. This is going to be really easy, and this is going to be something that you'll learn in the future, but not now. You don't need to worry. You just need to see, okay? You don't need to memorize, or you really need to understand what is going on. So I'll go ahead and copy a class over here. Now I'll create a variable here, const a is equals to, now I'll say document dot get element by class name. So I want to target a class name. So this actually does what is it grabs the element which has this class name over here. So now I create this variable. Now what do I want? So I want to go ahead and do something over here. So I'll say array. If I console dot log this a, okay, console dot log and a. So if I console log a, it's gonna say it's an HTML collection, but this is already in a array. But you're wrong, it's not an array, it's an HTML collection. And if I go ahead and console dot log the type of a, you could see that it's an object. It says it's an object. So how do I fix that? So to fix that, we use array.from. So if I go ahead and say const arr is equals to array.from. Now array.from is going to go ahead and convert a, and if I go ahead and say console.log arr, now you can see that it's an array. So you can use forEach over here. You could do any actions that you would like. So don't need to panic, don't need to worry. You'll learn, you will use this, you will implement this in your future applications. So we've studied about array.from. Now after we've done that, there's something called forOff and forIn. So I'll comment all of these out over here, so it will be easy for us. So there's something called forOff and forIn. So I'll go for, it's basically for loop, but it's something different. forOff. Now for, I'll simply go ahead and open parentheses, and I would say for items of array, I would simply go ahead and console.log the items. If I run this, see, it is basically, what it is telling is run a for loop for items that are inside of an array. So the items of arrays should be printed out. So it's just, I can go ahead with any variable I like over here. It's just a simple variable that is going to denote all of these elements inside of the array. So that is what forOff does. So now what is the work of forIn? So forIn is just like forOff, but its work is to give you the keys. So let's go ahead and console log first the array over here. So before explaining you all of the stuff that I'm doing, I'll console log the array. So if I go ahead and console log the I'll simply go ahead and do that. So now this is an array, right? But if I go inside of something, let's go ahead and use our web browser for this clear clarification that we can get from the web browser itself. So I'll use Firefox, inspect, and now for inspect I'll just make it a little bit big, and in the console I'll go ahead and make an array over here. Okay, it doesn't let me do it, but I'll copy and I'll paste. Okay, it is not letting me do that, so I'll say const array. Let me make this a little bit bigger so that you can see. Const array. I'm making some one. Let's go for 2, 3, 4, whatever the value we would like. And now if I go ahead, and it's going to say undefined because JavaScript is JavaScript, but don't need to worry about it. Console.log, and if I log out the array, you're going to see an array here. But this actually looks like an object because it has 0, 1, 2, 3, and it is being separated by a semicolon. You are not wrong here. You are not wrong, okay? If I console, but you'll say that if I console.log type of array, then what do I get? I get that it is an object because everything in JavaScript is an object. So if it is an object, it must have a key. So it must have a key. That means forIn is used to print out the keys or the indexes of those array. So what am I talking about? For, this is really interesting, okay? For items in, let's go with for elements in array. What do I want? I want to go ahead and console.log the, let's say, elements. Now if I run this, what do I see? I see 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Why am I getting this? Because these are the indexes. These are the keys. So it's basically for printing keys. So it's prints out the keys. So we have verified experimentally that everything in JavaScript is an object, okay? Whatever you do, JavaScript always converts that into an object. That is really cool, isn't it? So we've studied about for off, for in. Now we're going to be studying about higher order array functions. So what are higher order array functions? So I'll write it. Array functions. So higher order array functions are basically map, filter, and reduce. So what are those methods? So let's talk about map, okay? Let's talk about map. So map, this is not some kind of map or physical map that you studied in your class and in geography, but it's map in JavaScript. So map is an array method that accepts 3 arguments. So those 3 arguments are, let me go ahead and write it over here. I'll say arg, and it's going to take in arguments which are value. It's going to take an index, and it's going to take an array. So that is it. It takes 3 of this, and it's simply used for mapping out the elements of an array. So what am I specifically talking about? So I'll just comment these out over here as well so that it doesn't create a mess. And if I go array.map, now this map is essentially taking a value. So the value could be anything. The value could be named anything you would like, but it's going to go for a function. Now that function, it is going to go ahead and take out the value. So if I go ahead and say value, if it returns the value, return value. Or you don't need to type in return when you have nothing over here. If you don't have a curly bracket over here, you can simply go ahead and use this as well. So now this is going to return nothing because we are simply going and using array.map over here. How can we go and print the value out? So if I console.log an array, okay, it's not a method, we'll make it one. And if I do that, and if I save this file and run it, you can see that Paul, Tom, Dwayne, Bruce, Patrick. But why am I seeing that? Why am I seeing? I am not getting out the value that are required. So it is because array.map creates a new stuff. So array, what am I talking about? So array.map is actually creating a new array. So const new array, new array is equals to this array map and value. So if I console dot log the new array, or maybe you can go for new array, and now if I go ahead and see that, now you can see that this new array has been printed. So it's gonna essentially map out the value, and it's gonna give me the return me the value that I've got over here. So I can simply say I want to increase the value. Let's say I want to return the increased value. If I go ahead and say value +1, now you can see that Paul +1, Tom +1, Dwayne +1, and we've added those stuff etc. over here. Now as I said, it takes 3 parameters, so this is going to be the index. Now if I go ahead and say value plus the index, now you can see those index of the elements here. So Paul is 0, Tom is 1, Dwayne is 2, and Bruce is 3, and Patrick is 4. And now essentially what do I get? Now in the index, now I want to go ahead and pass in the array here. So if I go ahead and say plus array, what am I gonna see? We're gonna see the arrays over here. So this is basically what we are gonna see. It's gonna go ahead and print out the array after that. So it's gonna be going for Paul, Tom, Dwayne, Bruce, Patrick. So that is how the map function works in JavaScript. Okay, that is how the map function works in JavaScript. Now this is used while mapping out the objects inside of an array. So this is used in React. This is used in most of the functional cases. If you don't know this, you've learned it now, and it is really easy to use. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and make this one over here. Now what is filter method? So filter method is basically, I'll write filter. So this also takes in 3 parameters. So this also takes in the same parameters as this one. So I'll write it over here. Now what do I see in this one? So let me go ahead and make a new variable, const new array, and it's going to go for array.filter. Now it's going to filter out something. So it's going to filter anything. So it's going to take in a parameter. So I'll take in anything as state. We can go for state because state is more professional. I'm actually going to train you to use React or any kind of frameworks in JavaScript. Now it's going to be a function, and it's going to return something. So it is going to return those elements which, okay, I'll go ahead and create a new array here. So I want this array 2. So okay, let's go here, array 2. So const array 2 is equals to let's go to array 42, 52, 50, and all that stuff. So now I've created an array. So I want those elements which are less than 100. So I want those elements which are less than 100. So what do I say? I say that this state, I want those state which are less than 100. So it's gonna go, if this comes true, then that means those are only going to be returned. So if I say console.log the new array over here, I'm gonna see that 44, 45, and 43 is printed over here. So that means anything below 100 is being printed out over here in the new array. So that is what filter does. Okay, and we've studied about filter. Now we are going to go ahead and study about reduce. So let me go and use this array tool over in the reduce as well. So reduce is essentially taking out 2 parameters, and these 2 parameters are let me go ahead and do that over here. So const brand new array. So we're running out of names, so I'll just randomly through a name. So const brand new array, and I'm gonna go ahead and say array2 dot reduce. Now it is going to go ahead and reduce something. So it is going to reduce, let's take an example of A and B. Now this is going to reduce A and B, and I can return, or I don't want to return. I don't have curly bracket over here, so I don't have to type in return. You don't need to remember that, okay? So I want to return what? I simply want to return, I would like to return the value, which is going to be A plus B. So if I run this, and if I console log this out first, here, console.log brand new array, save this file, run this, I'll see that 43572 has been printed. Why is this being so? So let me take a few examples over here. Let me take a few numbers. So I'll say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or maybe let's take 23, 5, and let's take 10. So it's going to take in the first value. So it's going to take in 1, and it's going to take in the second value, which is 23. Now it's going to add this value, okay, A plus B. So this is going to be added. It's going to be becoming 24, and after it becomes 24, now this 24 becomes A again. So this 24 becomes A, and this 5 becomes B, and this 24 plus 5 is making 29, and now this 29 becomes A, and this 10 becomes B. So 29 plus 10 is obviously 39. So in the console, I'm sure that the answer is 39. Yup, you can see that 39. So array.reduce is basically used to return some kind of values, okay? So I hope you've learned something new and enjoyed in this video. These are the most essential array methods that we've learned just now. So yep, I'll see you in the next video, guys. Till then, take care everyone, and goodbye. And last, don't forget to join the Discord server if you need any kind of help. So I'll say goodbye to you.